The quality of your herbal remedies is directly correlated to the quality of the ingredients in those remedies. From the soil and dirt on the farm to the way those farmers process and harvest their good medicine to the way it's brought into whatever fashion you may take that medicine in, whether it's tea or glycerides or salves or whatever you're doing. And sometimes it can get really, really tricky and overwhelming figuring out what's actually good enough and what's really going to work. And so I went ahead and put together something for you. It's a mom's ultimate guide to stocking your natural medicine cabinet. So I put in my favorite herbs and my favorite products for all the things from cold and flu to tummy upset to anxiety, even our day-to-day stuff like our vitamins and fish oil supplements and things along those lines. These are the same products that I put in my home for the times that I don't have the time or desire to make my own medicine. And they're all from super sustainable, incredibly ethical companies that I know you're going to love. So if you want to grab the free guide, it's super duper easy. I'm going to drop a link in the show notes to you, or you can shoot me a message on Instagram or through email and ask me for it. All you need to do is just say cabinet and I'll send it right your way. Now is the time to get that stuff stocked before you need it, so you're not up at like 2 a.m. searching for the right remedy. Hello and welcome to the Herbalist Path, a podcast where you'll discover how to make your own herbal remedies at home so that you can take better care of yourself, better care of your family, and better care of our planet. I'm Mel. I'm a clinical herbalist, environmental educator, and mountain living mama with this crazy passion for teaching more mamas and their little loves how to use plants as medicine in a safe, effective, and tasty way so that there can be an herbalist in every home. Again, it's an absolute honor to have you on the journey down the herbalist path with me so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. Hello, and welcome back to another episode on the Herbalist Path. Today I have an incredibly special guest for you, which did you hear that in the background?
I did.
Not at all. That was my speaker just going, the Bluetooth going off. Sorry. At least it was like right in the beginning. So
yes. All good.
That won't happen again. Okay. Do over. Hello, and welcome back to another episode on the Herbalist Path. I am so excited for today's episode because I have a very special guest to have a chat with on here, and it's Dr. Lynn Love. She is an Asian medicine woman. She's a doctor of Chinese medicine, an acupuncturist, a hypnotherapist. She has so much to offer in the whole realm of mind, body, spiritual healing from that Asian medicine perspective, which as a Western herbalist gets me really excited because it means I'm always going to learn something fabulous. So, fortunately, I was connected with Dr. Lynn through a holistic healing bundle that we did together. And we've been meaning to have this chat on my show and on her show for quite a while. So I'm so thrilled to bring it to you now. So Lynn, thank you so very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Mel, and everyone listening. I'm so honored to be here with you all.
Yeah, I'm sure I missed a lot in that brief little introduction. So if you just want to share a bit about yourself and who you are.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, thank you for that introduction. It's a good reminder of all of the things that I've done, but I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, a licensed acupuncturist. I'm an herbalist and an Asian medicine woman. I'm also so many things, but I truly feel like a magician in many ways. I wear many hats, and one of the things that I have been very connected to lately is the doctor role, because the ancient traditions knew that doctor meant teacher. an educator. And so I've been very much connecting with that responsibility, that role in myself as educator and teacher, and sharing a lot about Chinese wisdom, Chinese medicine, Vietnamese medicine. And it's just been lighting me up so much to be able to share that wisdom with all of us here, because that knowledge is here to empower us to live as our most healthiest, most vital selves. So yes, I early on in my life, I learned Chinese medicine. I learned herbalism by watching my mom in the kitchen. And I have early memories of her putting herbs in our soup and making rice porridge and putting herbs in there and talking about what my body was doing, about what certain herbs were doing. And, as a kid, I was kind of like, Mom, this is I just want to be a normal kid. Let me just be normal. Let me just not. But I still loved the way that she told me about what my body was doing and about what energetics was. And so I kind of had that frame of mind throughout my entire life until I went to Chinese medicine school and became a doctor of Chinese medicine, and things just clicked. I was like, oh, duh, this is exactly the way that nature and life works. It's through this paradigm of understanding energetics. So yeah.
That is such a beautiful thing. I feel like I can say so many things on your intro, but I really, as a mom who now has an 11-year-old daughter who's grown up in an herbal apothecary, and herbs have been just her way of life forever. She's now entering that age where it's not so cool. And it's like, Mom, why are you talking about this again?
Yes.
But to hear you say that, you remember those pieces as a mother that has brought my daughter up in that way, it makes me truly warm to my heart.
Oh my goodness.
And when we think about that warmth, and we think about energetics and how important energetics from the whole mind, body, soul perspective are in the realm of healing. I feel like we could talk about that this entire podcast.
Totally.
Really
we can go into
goes
so many places.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really, really cool.
Well, what you said about your daughter actually gave me chills, because you're expanding her to what is possible in this world. You're expanding her to beyond what we're taught in primary school and high school. You're expanding her to what medicine and magic is, that has been around for thousands of years. Traditional Chinese medicine has been around for centuries, helping people in ancient civilizations through all sorts of illnesses, imbalances, epidemics. It's also known as home folk medicine. A lot of the traditional remedies that I received when I was young at home was traditional folk remedies passed down in Vietnamese communities for years and years and years. So the things that you're sharing are lifelong tools that one day your daughter is going to be able to resource from and use and help people from. And you're just expanding her to the possibilities of the magical world of medicine and herbs and plants. So you're doing the work by just sharing with her.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about, though. And that's kind of what I have this podcast for, and why I do everything that I do, so that I can help more moms be able to do that with their children. And we can return to how it has been for centuries, where the elders pass this knowledge and wisdom down from one generation down to the next generation and beyond. And that is just such an empowering feeling. And thank you for everything you had to say about it. I am a firm believer that kind of knowledge is far superior to anything you're going to get in the public school system, at least within the United States.
Yes.
I would rather her grow up with those life skills than memorizing multiplication is important.
Geometry.
Yeah, exactly. But how often do we use that stuff in actual life? And it is beautiful to see her as she grows into the being that she is, because honestly, she's one of the most kind and compassionate and caring human beings I've ever met. And I have met a lot of people. She is also very, very reserved and very shy and does not like large crowds of people. And I'm like, she's got these magical hands, this really great gift of touch. And when she just is like, oh, mom looks stressed, she just reaches up and starts to massage my shoulders. She's been doing this since she was like 6. And like, she's really good at it.
She has like, many gifts.
You are a healer.
Yes. How beautiful is that? And, you're reminding me that, this traditional ancient wisdom, whether it's through herbs or through energetics or Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, it's like we have to honor the roots of those traditions and how long they've been around. And also, we can use that information and that wisdom to then empower the new generations to take care of themselves and change the paradigm of what we know medicine and healing today. Because when I was young, my mom, I grew up in like sort of, I really had both the dualities. Like I would go home and my mom would cook me Chinese herbs and I'd drink these like terrible tasting formulas, herbal formulas, just bitter as heck and like just not taste good. Some of them were really good, like, some formulas, and then she would do something called gao ya, which is essentially what we know as gua sha. Many people know as gua sha, but it's essentially scraping of the skin, and that actually clears heat from the body. And it's really great, especially when you have colds or when you have a fever, you can kind of scrape along the chest and the back, and that actually helps to clear some of the heat, which is really great when you have a fever, right? Because it kind of helps to just clear some of the energy that's blocking the body from doing what it needs to do. And I would go home and get that done, and with all sorts of ointments and Chinese herbs. And then she would take me to the Western doctor, and I would get my asthma inhaler and, all the checkups and things. And it was just like 2 different worlds. And I had a taste of both. And actually, funny enough, I really wanted to be a Western medicine nurse, like for a really long time. I went to undergrad as a pre-nursing major and was like, this is what I'm here to do. I want to be a nurse. So I always knew I was here on this planet to help people heal and to take care of people and to teach people. But I was kind of got sidetracked because I was like, oh yeah, I want to do nursing. This is totally what I want to do. And then I worked in a hospital as an intern and was like, this is absolutely not what I want to do. Yeah. I don't want to be in this hospital setting. I don't really see how people are getting better. Right. Mm. But when I started going back into Chinese medicine school, it just all clicked for me. It all made sense on a very deep ancestral embodied level where I was like, yeah, like it makes sense that your heart is sending energy to this area and it's all interconnected and energy's flowing. And like, even though we can't see chi and life force or prana, it's still animating all things. It's still living in all things. And Chinese medicine is fundamentally an energy medicine that when we shift energy that is blocked in any part of our body, it's going to cause a ripple effect to another part of our body and help that chi to go more in harmony or in balance. And that's sort of the purpose of Chinese medicine, and Chinese herbalism as well. It's just moving and aiding and promoting chi flow in the body. Mm. So I know I totally went into many tangents there, but when we're using things like herbs and, simple herbs like ginger or lemongrass or mint, those things are extremely powerful and they're working on a very energetic level. So from a Chinese medicine perspective, we see everything in energy. So when we take things like mint, or you make yourself a mint tea, what we're doing is we're clearing heat because the mint actually is very cooling in nature. Mm-hmm. And it enters into our throat. So it's great when we have sore throats. We can drink something like a mint tea, drinking ginger, adding ginger to that is helping with the digestion. So it's like we get to create medicine just through our connection with plants and herbs and with this ancient wisdom that has been passed down for centuries and really modern wisdom because people are using herbs more and more these days. And it's so exciting.
Can I get your attention, please? No, seriously. Can I get your attention? Or are you just going to be scattered all over the place like so many other people are? No, I'm asking because Wish Garden Herbs has this amazing product called Attention Ally, and it's a focus friend for kids. And as we head back to school and everybody's ready to get their study game on, or if you're a homeschooling mom, gosh, oh golly, you've got so much you've got to focus on too. And this Attention Ally from Wish Garden Herbs is going to help you and your kiddos stay nice and focused. So they use milky oat tops and passion flower and skullcap in there, which are all going to help kind of support and calm the nerves and the mind. So that scattered kind of ADHD brain, not to say that they're claiming ADHD by any means, but speaking for myself, so that just kind of calms down a bit. And then there's Go-To Cola and nettles as well. Like the Go-To Cola is going to bring circulation to the brain. It's going to stimulate the memory and help a person be able to stay focused and stay attentive to the things that need to get done. Plus, it's got some cinnamon in there, which gives it a really, really nice flavor. They put it all together with organic alcohol, Rocky Mountain spring water, and some glycerin too. So it's nice and tasty. Your kids aren't going to refuse it. And the other super duper duper cool thing, I mean, there's tons of cool things about Wish Garden Herbs, but this one in particular, like, have you ever taken a tincture and you have to unscrew the lid and you have to squeeze the little bulb at the top and then you've got to take the little dropper and put it in your mouth? Well, Wish Garden Herbs is amazing, and they have created, well, I don't know if they created it, but they use this little spray pump. So you can just spray Attention Ally Focus Friend right into your mouth. Your kiddo can pop it in their backpack and take it with them wherever they're going to learn and spray it in their mouth when they're just like, uh-oh, I need to start really being focused and clear here. So anyways, I love Wish Garden Herbs. I love the people that run this company. They are absolutely, hands down, super stand-up herbal products company that I recommend from the highest of all highs. So definitely check out their Attention Ally Focus Friends. I'm going to link to it in the show notes for you. Click the link and get your focus on.
It is so exciting. And gosh, of course, again, so many things I can say to everything you just spoke about. And let's bring it up to the excitement of so many people starting to turn to the world of herbalism in conjunction with what you were saying in the beginning of that, how you grew up with both dualities of these natural healing remedies and methods that your mom was giving you at home with these bitter tasting Chinese herbs, and then going to the doctor to get that asthma inhaler, and how it is really beautiful and important to see those two dancing together. As a clinical herbalist, that's much of my mission. One of the things that I am observing a lot of out there today as people are expanding their minds and returning to their roots and understanding that these plants have been here forever to heal us, they are kind of just shunning everything Western medicine when, I think they deserve a lot of gratitude because it can save lives. There's definitely a time and a place, but with this herbal medicine and with energetic medicine, we have the power to do a lot to avoid needing that Western medical system, right?
Yes, I love that. I think everything has a role. I mean, when we look at nature, everything has a role. Even the insects and the hummingbirds and the worms, everything has a role. So when we can apply that same understanding to medicine, the school that I went to, luckily, was an integrative school. So we learned not only the traditional Chinese medicine understanding of medicine and biology and anatomy and physiology, but we learned also the Western understanding of what was happening with diseases and health conditions and all of the things and how to read lab tests and all those things. And when you marry the two, it's like a beautiful synergy that happens, because Chinese medicine likes to say, or really the Taoist understanding of Chinese medicine is you don't want to go too far off into one extreme. You actually want to have everything in moderation. So when we can balance out the Western medicine, the Western understanding, the biology, the science with the Chinese medicine energetics and the understanding of herbs, with these things, it creates a beautiful, beautiful marriage. And so,
that's where the magic happens.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That is where the magic happens. Mm-hmm. And, for example, the reason why I ended up going to Chinese medicine school, I actually was working at a corporate job and I was not connected to what I was here to do. I was really much far away from that as possible. And I got to a point where I actually got really sick. I had contracted like a very rare amoeba, and it got contracted in my eye. And from a Chinese medicine perspective, your eyes are connected to your liver system. And your liver is also connected to emotional stress. It's the first organ in Chinese medicine that contacts any sort of stress that you experience, any sort of trauma, stress, emotions that you experience. So now retrospectively, I see that I was so stressed and I was so overwhelmed and so unaligned to my purpose. The liver also being the energy that is used towards fulfilling vision, fulfilling your purpose, planning out your focus or your vision and your dreams. I was so disconnected from that my body then sent me this huge red signal that was like, hey, you need to slow down and take a moment to really reassess what you want to do and where you're going. And that week, I remember I actually asked my mom to come down to support me. And she took me to an acupuncturist. And funny enough, I didn't get acupuncture and I watched her get acupuncture, but something in me lit up and I was like, I can do exactly what that person's doing. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I kid you not, 2 weeks after that, I applied to Chinese medicine school. I got in and fast forward, here I am. And I understand now that when you are disconnected from your body, when you're disconnected from your purpose, when you're disconnected to the medicine that your body is trying to share with you through whether it's symptoms or your hormonal imbalance or any sort of condition that we find, there's always a purpose to that. And it's telling us something, and it's telling us to look deeper. And that's a lot of the principles that I share with my clients is they bring me something that's happening in their life. They bring me something that's happening in their body. I'm like, well, what's happening deeper? What's happening in your environment? What's happening in your relationships? Mm-hmm. And how can we build better relationships with nature, with herbs, or with our energetics of our own body to help guide us and support us in repairing our energetics in those relationships? So there's a lot I can say on that, but
yeah, it's incredibly beautiful and deep, and that's what it's all about. It's that whole body and mind and soul healing. Like, what is happening in your relationships? How is your work life? How is that impacting your stress levels? And when you spoke about your story and you shared that the liver is connected with emotional stress, it's connected with your vision, and maybe if that there's blockage there, you're not being able to live that true vision. And prior to actually recording on this episode, we talked a bit briefly about you and your skin healing journey. And when I think of the liver, I definitely think of our skin and how, when our skin is not happy, we know we're going to go to the liver for that in Western herbalism. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about how that's tied together for you.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Yeah, I feel like our bodies and our health journeys are initiations back to ourself. They're like inner calls back to ourself. And I truly feel like healing my hormones, healing my hormonal acne was definitely a huge teacher for me on my path. And they say in Chinese medicine school that when you as a practitioner, you get ill or you get sick or you're experiencing something, that is the best teacher of medicine, because you start to understand, right, this is what it feels like to have a common cold or have a fever or, have an upset stomach or go through these things that you're helping your clients and your patients with. So, I had struggled with, actually, let's rewind back to when I was a teenager, I think later teenage age, like maybe 18, 19, I started taking birth control. And, it was actually something that was just offered to me in Western medicine. When I got checked up and they're like, are you interested in birth control? I said yes. And then somewhere down the line, I think I had taken that not only because to help regulate to help with, birth control, obviously, what it does, contraception, but also with my hormonal acne. And I had done so many Western things. I was like going to the dermatologist, and I gotten to the point where they told me, well, we're at this point where you can take Accutane or you can continue what you're doing. And I'm not going to talk much about Accutane, but it's a very, very strong medication for helping to clear acne, and it works on very deep levels of the body. But I eventually just was like, this is not what I'm called to do. And fast forward, I still struggled with my acne even to my adult years. And then when I was in Chinese medicine school, I was like, I want to know more about what my body is doing. Because every time I have my cycle, when I'm on my period, I get acne and I get, PMS, and I have cramps and I have all these things. Like, my body is telling me something that I need to understand. And I started to understand the connection between emotional stress, my liver, toxins that get built up in the liver that need to be detoxed. I started learning about the elimination pathways of your body. So your body, when it is detoxing, whether it's chemicals or any sort of toxins in our body, I also want to add to that emotional, mental toxins as well, because the thoughts that we're having, the things that we're taking in from our environment are also toxins, and we need to clear those out of our bodies. And so our liver is very much responsible for that. But where I really started lighting up, like this started lighting up so many things for me, was when I learned that my skin was very much connected to my lungs in Chinese medicine. And, the lungs also are connected to our emotions. So the lung and the liver actually has a very, very strong energetic connection within Chinese medicine, and they help to sort of moderate each other. But when I was going to Chinese medicine school, I started seeing acupuncturists. I started going to like some of the best herbalists in San Diego at the time. And my herbalist would tell me, well, here's what you have to do. You have to shift your eating habits, right? I have to really start with food, because food is our medicine at the end of the day. The food that we eat, 3 times a day, 2 times a day, these meals that we have, it's inherently our food. Before herbs, before, any other things that we do, it's our food. So I had to change the food that I was eating. I had to focus on my detoxing or elimination pathways. So how often am I eliminating? How much am I sweating? Because our skin is the largest organ that we have, and we detox so much through our skin and also through our breath. We actually detox 70% of our toxins in our body through our breath alone, and everything else is through our elimination pathways. And so I started focusing on that. I started juicing, drinking celery juices, I started taking these really big herbal formulas, Chinese medicine formulas. I think I had taken one of the top 5 worst tasting herbal formulas in the Materia Medica for like 6 months. And that was helping to clear away all the heat, because when we experience acne, in particular hormonal acne, we have something called heat that's built up in our body and dampness that's built up. And it's built up in our deep in the different acupuncture channels of our body. So the herbalist I was working on prescribed me this herbal formula that helped to clear some of this dampness, clear some of this heat, move more energy, and it helped to reestablish some of the connections that my body needed to make. Cause it was like, I was so energetically blocked in some of my organ systems that it wasn't able to make those connections. The communication was just not happening enough for me to clear out toxins fast enough. So eventually with that, including acupuncture, I had probably healed about 90% of my acne, but I still wasn't fully healed. I would still get, some breakouts, and I would still have some like menstrual issues and PMS and things like that. And it wasn't until I actually let go of and gave my body a break from all of the medicine, all of the healing. And I gave my body a break, and I decided this time I was going to go travel. So I went to go travel on my own, and I looked in the mirror, and I kid you not, like, this is something I would have never thought would shift my body or heal my body. But this is how I learned how important your mind, body, spirit connection is. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I looked at my skin. I had a few breakouts. I looked at my eyes, and it's very vulnerable when you're doing mirror work. And I just said to myself, I love you no matter what you look like, no matter what you go through, whatever, no matter what, really. Just like that deep motherly unconditional love for myself. And I kid you not, Mel, a month later, my skin healed, and I never had breakouts since. So it was like a combination of doing the physical work, changing my diet, taking the herbs, doing the exercise, and then shifting and healing the emotions, like detoxing all of that from my body, and then creating new neural pathways of like, no, this is how I decide to live my life and love myself and show up for myself. And I think many ways that comes from the spirit. When we can love something so unconditionally, when we can accept something with so much love, that comes directly from our spirit. And I that was the first time I was like, wow, I understand. I understand holistic healing on such a deeper level now, more than ever. So yeah, I know that was a long story, but it seriously was a big part of my journey of like healing my skin. And so when I teach clients, I'm like, we have to look at every single level, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, like looking at every single level and auditing and clearing out and shifting and rewriting our behaviors, and that's what really allowed me to show up as I do with clear, radiant skin. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for all those things that I learned.
Yeah, I love that so much. And as you were speaking to the power of the emotions and the mind there and how we can shift those neural pathways, I was absolutely getting chills through all the parts of my body, because it is so true. Like, some people can keep doing the work, like take the pills if that's how they're going to take their herbs, or take this and do that. But until we can shift the mind and the way that it's processing things, and we're not talking the conscious mind, because we can all say consciously to ourselves all the right things, but until we believe that subconsciously and make it truth and make it real, there's still going to be that energetic blockage from true, complete healing. And you also brought up, going to the best herbalist in San Diego and how they were first telling you, well, you've got to shift what you're eating, shift your diet. I feel, I don't know if you get this a lot, maybe you don't, but usually when people want to come to me initially, it's what herbs do I take to fix this problem? And they never want to hear about the diet and the lifestyle pieces, which are absolutely essential for the herbs to really do their healing work, right? Like, yes. Without that, the herbs are like, I like to use the analogy of a bonfire and inflammation, and thinking about like the root inside of inflammation is flame. And that's a raging bonfire with your body telling you all of these different things if we're willing to listen. And if we don't make those lifestyle shifts and we throw herbs on top of it, it's like those herbs are a little squirt gun trying to put out the bonfire.
Yes.
But if we make those other shifts, those herbs can then become the fire hose putting out that bonfire. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, so true. I think I really needed to do the inner work on and the external work, like both. You know, I couldn't just rely only on the Chinese herbs to fully handle what I was experiencing, because it was on many deep levels. It was the physical level, of course, but it was also how I felt about myself, and also the energy that my organs were holding, because each organ system in Chinese medicine is connected to an emotion. The lungs are most connected to sadness, grief, sorrow, but it's also connected to our ability to connect to spirit and clarity, and in many ways, happiness. And so I had to face the sadness that I was feeling, right? And also with the liver system, I had to sit with the anger, because liver is most connected to anger and irritability. And so I had to sit with frustration that I had around my body, around my skin, and things that didn't work out. And, you know, it was really like a full level, like, healing.
Yeah. Oh no. We're frozen for a moment. I wonder if it's me. But you're frozen in a good spot. So if you can see me, it's not one of those frozen moments where you look really funny. Hopefully we didn't lose connection. I'm gonna wait a minute.
I've experienced.
Hold on one second, Lynn. We froze for a moment. And it was right at this moment that you were talking about connection, and you had this beautiful pose on my screen. But if you wouldn't mind rewinding like a minute or so,
yeah, of
what
course,
you were saying, that'd be great.
Of course, yeah. And so, with this energetic connection between our emotions and our organ systems, if we're experiencing, let's just say, irritability or worry, that is telling us something that our organ systems, which organ systems to work with. So the liver is connected with anger and frustration. It's also connected to our vision, our purpose, what we're here to do, what we're here to give. Our spleen is very much connected to worry and overthinking. It's also connected to our calm, groundedness. And our kidneys are connected to our fear and shock, but it's also connected to our spirit and our willpower. And of course, the heart is connected to our joy. And it's also connected to our indifference when we're not connected to something. And so using something like your emotions as indicators of, okay, this is maybe where I need to go with healing this part of my my body right now, because I'm being led by my experience of worry. And that can lead you back to, well, what is my digestive system doing? What is my spleen and my stomach telling me? How do I need to shift my relationship with my gut health and, eating more probiotics? Because, if we bridge this with science, they're seeing nowadays that our gut health is so connected to our mental health and what we experience on a daily basis and how we show up. So Chinese medicine really gives us that deeper understanding of what's happening of our body. And it's sort of like a journey that it takes us on. And that's really what I went through, was like, I had to have all these pieces of, okay, I'm doing the physical things, shifting my nutrition, but what emotions are there? Okay, I'm feeling a lot of sadness and frustration. Okay, can I sit with that? Can I unravel that? Can I create a safe space for that to be here with me? And to allow that energy to move, because Chinese medicine, again, its purpose is to move energy, to restore the flow of energy. And oftentimes when we have imbalance or health conditions, that's indicating that energy is stuck or energy is not flowing properly. So all these things that our body is showing us is essentially calling us back to ourselves. And I truly think that our body has everything it needs to heal. And when we feel called to herbs, like, so for example, when we feel called to certain herbs, I have an herb here that's with me. It's called star anise. I've been looking at it this entire time and it wants to come here. But I put this into a soup that I made yesterday. And something about that herb can help support me on what I'm already being called to. Mm-hmm. And so many of these herbs can be allies. Many of the energetic tools that we learn can be allies, just like our emotions can be allies, just like our many other things, our relationships, our environment can be allies to our own healing. It's just about developing that deep listening towards, can I be with this, and can I listen so deeply to know what I need next?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such an important thing to bring up, is like that listening to our body, that listening to our mind, that listening to the plants. And it unfortunately brings me up to just a comment I got on social media the other day where I was sharing something about energetics and when to take things and knowing when a cold or the flu is coming by. And somebody had posted on there, well, that's preposterous. Who knows when they're getting ill? And I'm like, well, have you had that little tickle in your throat or just that feeling of lower energy and offness? She's like, she sounded very angry. And she was like, that's my exact point. Nobody knows that stuff. And I'm like, but we do. And if we really do, and it just takes that listening and that just being in tune with your body and your mind. And so just hearing you speak about that brought up that little moment in the world of social media where it's like, this poor soul. Like,
and I give compassion for people who experience that, because with so much that has happened for centuries to the wisdom of our bodies, to the knowledge that has been hidden for thousands of years, that is now coming out, that is now being celebrated and honored. For so long, I think many people have experienced that their bodies are not safe. And so we can't feel into the body, or, just because my body's feeling this tickle, like I don't have to listen to it. We're told this story that, our bodies, just ignore the body. But our bodies are actually so innately intelligent. We were born with so much wisdom and intelligence that's integrated in our bodies. So can we listen to that? And even if that is, you're kind of like, well, that doesn't make, I don't really get it. If you are somebody that connects to nature very deeply, we are just a spectrum of nature. We're just a part of nature, and nature has everything it needs to heal. Like if you look at an ecosystem, it's always flowing with each other and creating these beautiful relationships and reciprocity. And so our body also has that built within itself. We just have to listen to those little tickles, to that little ping where there's an ache. Or maybe you're feeling like, oh yeah, I just feel a little off today. Listen to that, because your body is telling you something that you need to know. And I think, to go back to when I contracted that rare amoeba, it's because I wasn't listening to my body. It's because I was ignoring it. And I say that do the deep listening now and the reflection now before your body really tells you you have to sit and you have to rest and you have to listen, because our bodies are want to regenerate. They want to rejuvenate. They want you to be in your most optimal, most authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can we support our bodies in that process? How can we support our bodies in blooming into our most true, authentic selves? I think that's where my purpose is. And I'm sure yours is too, Mel, is just helping mamas and families and people just show up and care for themselves so we can show up as our best selves.
Yeah, absolutely. So much deep wisdom in this episode for anybody that is listening. And it's these are conversations that are lifelong conversations. These are practices that are lifelong practices. And when you opened up this little chat today and spoke about yourself and being a woman of many hats, I can absolutely hear that, because when you're working with your clients, I can only imagine how much emotional work goes into what you're doing with them. And sure, you're an acupuncturist and you can help clear energy in that way. And sure, you know all of these amazing Chinese herbs, but really it's teaching somebody about this whole perspective of what we just covered in such a tiny little nutshell of a conversation here today.
Yes.
It just goes so deep. And I know that you have so much to offer people in the realm of healing and learning how to heal themselves and, you know, working with you one-on-one. And you have a podcast also. And I could talk to you about all of these things forever and ever and ever. But I also want you to share with everybody that's listening today how they can connect with you more, how they can learn with you more, how they can be enlightened by you on their healing journey as well. Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, it's been such a pleasure to be able to share. I mean, like you, Mel, you're a teacher, you're an educator, you're passionate about that. And that's where we have so many similarities. It's like we're here to share the knowledge, we're here to share the healing, the wisdom. And that's what I'm also so lit up by more than ever these days. And so to find more from me, you can go to my website at www.drlynlove.com. And there's my courses there. I have a Chinese medicine basics course where I take you into the history of Chinese medicine, the origin story of it, the different tools that we use in Chinese medicine. I actually walk you through some acupressure points, some herbalism basics in that as well. And I'm also going to be releasing out more courses on Chinese medicine. I'm really, really passionate about like empowering people with healing themselves, because it's not about having people come back to you. I mean, they say that the best doctor is somebody that doesn't want you to come back. It's you being, it's you being able to take this wisdom and educate yourself and your family and empower yourself. So I have so many courses on my website. I have my offerings on there to work one-on-one with me. And of course, I am a medicine woman with many hats. I go anywhere from emotional releasing, somatic sessions to tending your wellness through nutrition and herbs and foods, and to like past life regressions. You know, I'm interested and so passionate about healing in all spectrums. So yes. And I also have free resources to 2 ebooks of mine, Living Womb Wisdom from Chinese Medicine and a Chinese Medicine Mental Wellness ebook. And I also release the monthly Mystic newsletter where I dive into herbs, astrology, Chinese medicine, energetics, all of the things. And those are all free resources that are available as well. So please tune in with me if you have any questions. Seriously, I'm here to share.
I love all of that so much. I'm like, you are my people. Finally,
yes.
We've connected on this show. It's so, so, so good. Just to clarify, anybody listening, of course, I'm going to link to everything in the show notes, but Dr. Lynn Love is spelled Linhlove. So for those of you that wanted to know that,
Yes.
Yeah, this has been such a fabulous conversation, and I'm so grateful that we've
Likewise,
connected.
yes.
I cannot wait to learn more from you. I cannot wait to have you as a guest teacher in our upcoming community herbalist program. I think you will be wonderful for that. And I absolutely want to dive into the basics on Chinese herbalism, like and Chinese medicine. I know pieces because it came within my training, but I'm really excited to learn it from you as well. I really love thinking about the organ
Yeah.
systems being connected to the emotions, and really being in tune with that as a healer is so important. So important.
Yes. Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Thank you so much, Mel, for having me on. And if anyone wants to also stay tuned with me on social media, I'm at Dr. Lynn Love everywhere. So yes. Thank you so much,
Yay.
Mel. It's been such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Lynn. Have a fabulous day.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Herbalist Path. Being on this journey with you is absolutely incredible. If you dig this episode, please leave me a review on your favorite podcast player and share it with your friends so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. On another note, I must mention that while I know you're getting some good info here, it's important to remember that this podcast is purely for entertainment and educational purposes and is not intended to be a substitute for medical treatment. While the information in this podcast is absolutely relevant, herbs work differently for each person and each condition. That's why I recommend you work with a qualified practitioner, whether that be another herbalist, a naturopath, or your doctor. So thank you again. I am truly honored that you're tuning into these episodes and on the path with me to make sure that there's an herbalist in every home again. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends so that we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. Have you ever wondered about the best ways to keep your kiddo's immune system ready to rock and roll when it comes to back to school season, or like when everybody's just heading indoors and everybody starts getting sick? Well, you don't have to wonder anymore. One of my absolute favorite companies on the planet is Oregon's Wild Harvest. And the cool thing is they make this kids version of echinacea. It's a glycerite with raspberry flavoring, and it is one of the things that my daughter has always loved. Like, she asks me for more echinacea when it comes from Oregon's Wild Harvest. So they are a fantastic biodynamic farm in Oregon, as you might have guessed. And I've met the whole family. They're absolutely beautiful. They put so much love and integrity in their products. And this kid's echinacea is going to keep your kiddo's immune system ready to fight off any of the viruses and bacteria and other nasty bugs that come along as we head into cold and flu season. And the people at Oregon's Wild Harvest are so amazing that they are going to give you a 15% off discount. I have dropped the code and the link to get your discount in the show notes of this episode. You should definitely check them out because they are cream of the crop. If you know anything about me and what it takes for me to recommend an herbal products company, then you know that Oregon's Wild Harvest has got it all going on. Okay, go ahead and grab that link and make sure your kiddos are ready to fight this cold and flu season.